All right. This is kind of an impromptu video, but I'm going to show off a couple things. One, my new plastic gas car arrived. That's right. The big boy, Prophet of the Wog. If you don't know 40K, just assume the biggest, baddest orc ever. And that's what Gazco is. The other thing is, I printed up some Battletech figures. This is a thug. This is a new look one. I got the STLs on Thingiverse months ago, thankfully, because from what I understand, they've all been removed, but not from my computer. So, and I use a Mars Elegoo printer. I don't have the Pro, so when you do the supports and everything correct, this is what comes out. This guy's already been cleaned. I use water rinsable resin, which is more expensive, but in my opinion, less toxic to work with. And they have already been UV cured. I've got a little. It actually began its life as a for fingernails, for fake nails, because I guess fake nails use the same kind of resins or something. But it's a UV lamp. You stick these things under it, flip them, and let them sit there for a minute, and they get rock hard, which is cool and also means if you slam these things on a tile floor, they will break. So, so I've got three of them done that I'm going to work on. I've got more done, but I'm going to work on three right this second. Mainly because I really want to add these to my mercenary company. So I've got my thug. This is an old school mech, but I use 20 or 30-25 tech in our home game. Uh, that you might have heard Haas style talk about beating me. This guy is equipped with two PPCs. He's got and two SRM6s standard, and that's it. He's got a bit of armor. He's pretty much average for the tonnage, but I like the weapons loadout, the ability to. I mean, if you close in on him, then he's going to get you with the SRMs in theory, and the PPCs. He's got enough heat to fire those PPCs and not just burn himself up. Then this is a Hunchback, except this is the Hunchback that replaces AC-20, which has a ton of medium lasers and heat sinks. So it's actually got a higher potential damage output than the AC-20 Hunchback, but that damage is going to be spread out. So instead of being able to hit somebody like in an arm or a leg and just whack 20 damage on them right off the bat, and a lot of times, especially a lighter mech, they'll just blow a limb right off or crush a chest in. This guy is going to spread the damage around, but if you hit every time, you'll actually do more damage to an enemy mech. So, and the last one, and this is a newer model mech. This is the Raven, and we'll see it when it's been popped out. But it's a really good light mech in my opinion. It's got a pretty diverse weapons loadout. It's very fast. It's got decent armor. I think it's a 35 tonner. Um, what really sets this guy apart, depending on how advanced of rules you play, is it's got like an ECM, um, and it's got like a Beagle active probe. So this guy is a great mech for targeting for artillery, offboard artillery, finding hidden mechs, things of that nature. If you play those higher level rules, which we do, but we keep the tech pretty low. So whenever you're dealing with these guys, you'll see there's a contact point on the mech, and that'll be at a point. Which when you set up your file, you can adjust it, but that's going to be at your that's going to be your smallest point, and you're just going to want to go. And again, people who own printers already probably know all this. So, but if you don't and you're thinking about picking up a printer, this might be useful information to know. So you just go over it and you start carefully carefully, clipping away the supports. And a lot of times I like to actually do this before I cure them because the softer supports come off, in my opinion, better. But so that's what it is. I actually have to clean my printer too. I was a bad monkey, and after I did my last run, I didn't clean it the way I should have, and that's not good. Now, one thing I can tell you about this is that if you do accidentally break your mech, um, and I have 90% of the time, it is no problem at all to just glue it back together. You won't even notice, you know. Get a little super glue, a little Zap-A-Gap or something in there, and literally you won't even notice. If you're a little rough taking these supports off, you may have to take like an emery board or a very fine file and go over the connection points just to smooth it down a bit. But that's, again, that's a may. You may have to do that. You may not. You know, a lot of it also depends on the thing you printed. I've had some prints, like I print a bunch of HeroQuest models out, and those things come out of there just beautiful, you know. And then sometimes you'll print out a mech, and it'll just be a monster to deal with, especially the crab. It took me about 10 prints to finally get a crab mech to print correctly. There's just something about that model or that STL file that I have that, you know, whereas my Marauders come out every time, first time. So, okay. Yeah, this guy's coming out pretty good. This isn't a bad, I mean, this isn't very difficult to do, honestly. You just have to be really aware of what you're cutting and what it's attached to. I put big plates on the bottom. You know, I've seen other people. I'm on the 3D printing board, and you know, different people have different opinions, but this is just how it works for me. So you can actually buy these things if you want. That's actually how I justified getting the printer. When I was discussing it with my wife, I was like, you know, it would be cheaper for me to just get the printer than for me to order all the mechs I want. BattleTech is a game that it's a war game, if you didn't know. But there's also a RPG. The newest one I do not recommend at all because it's next to impossible to play. The rules are so complicated. Okay, this guy's going to need a little cleanup here and there, but otherwise, there you go. This is the Raven, completely detached from supports. And I'll figure out a color code for him, and then we'll see. That's not for my personal company. Sometimes I just buy them just to have them for other people or whatever that want to play. This guy is for my personal company. Printed this bad boy out. He's a big one too. When I printed him out, I had to print him out by himself. But yeah, this is my Thug, which may replace my Orion in the command squad or first squad. But yeah, you just go around here, you carefully clip them out. And like I said, you may have to do some cleanup. It's different on every mech. or everything. I mean, I keep talking about mechs. Um, let's see something else I've printed. I printed these out. Oh, get out of the light. She hasn't had her wash on yet, but it's just a farm lady with a sheaf of wheat. I printed these guys. Of course, as with always, all of my stuff is half painted. So that's a. She could be a prostitute. She could be an assassin. She could be a lady of some, a noble lady. She's got a dagger hid behind her back. So 3D printing, once you figure it out, and if you've got a good machine, I went with the Mars. I actually bought the other one too, and now I can't remember the name of it, and got zero prints out of this thing. I tried it, Photon. I went with a Photon too, and I tried 10 times and couldn't get a print out of it, and eventually just sent it back and got my money back. The thing just, whereas the Elegoo I got, the Elegoo Silver, I set that thing up, auto balance the plate, and just started cranking stuff out to the point that I literally have hundreds of models laying around waiting for a paint job. And some of them are really nice. Like this guy right here. That come off an Elegoo. I've got about 7 or 8 of these guys I made. I go on Mini Market, and you can buy STLs, and there's free ones too. Oh, the weasels behind me moving about. You can't really make any detail off of this guy, but that is a warrior priest. He's got his mace in his book, in plate armor, and that's out of white resin. I have used all of it. As a matter of fact, this stuff is a mix because it started white and then I added gray, and I've also used the beige, and I've not used any of the clear ones though. But usually the gray is on sale. Oh, see, popping that support, his arm come off. And here it is right here. But again, a little bit of super glue on that spot, and as long as I make sure to line it up right, which won't be hard, you will never notice that there was ever a thing there. So I'm not even going to stress over that. And if you get into this hobby, I would suggest you not either. Sometimes you deal with, especially with your mechs, but other fantasy figures as well, where you'll have like they're holding a torch or something like that that's very fine, and it's almost impossible to free them from their supports without breaking that part off. So, a lot of figures I actually started printing for D&D and Warhammer Fantasy are, let me see if I can find one. I've got a little box right here full of them, actually. Okay. These are multi-part figures. So you print the body separately. That's why the body's kind of painted and the weapons aren't. You print the body separately. I actually printed the base too. That's a more fancy Hero Quest base. And then you print the weapons separately, left and right-handed weapons. That way you can, basically almost build an infinite number of figures all armed differently with bows or whatever you want, In Warhammer, a lot of them have pistols and, black powder weapons and stuff. But this guy's going to get painted purple. He's going to go in my Merrick company, Constantine's Druzhina. They are a mercenary unit from House Merrick. These supports are thick. which is my used to kind of be my second favorite house and is now is my first favorite house. As a kid, I was House Steiner all the way. Which in BattleTech you have the great houses, and they're different. You know, basically countries in space. So you've got House Kurita is feudal Japan, and House Lao is kind of Chinese, but also has strong Aztec and Eastern European flavor. And then House Merrick is kind of like Greek and Russian. House Steiner is very much Germanic. And then House Davian is like English and American. I mean, if there was a nation state in 40K that was the United States or 40K Battletech, it would probably be Davian. Probably. But Merrick, I kind of like their whole deal. They're really the only democracy in the game, and they're kind of the underdog all the time. And for whatever reason, I've gotten where I just really like purple. That's why I started painting my 40K Primaris armies purple. Even though I still haven't figured out if I want to do just a standard Marine. Oh, there you come off pretty good on that one then. Or if I want to make my new chapter Blood Angels. Because, you know, I could. Nothing's stopping me. So that's two of them freed up. They're still going to be neatened up. If you use a file on this resin, it's probably healthy to wear a mask. You do not want to breathe in this dust. For me, I don't get really, as long as they're pretty much cleaned up and able to take a little paint, then I don't get too hyper about it. And one interesting thing about this resin is once it's cured like this, you wash it off in, say, in your sink. You throw a little soap and water on this and let it dry, and you can paint right on it. I mean, I'm not saying you should, but you can, and I have. Especially if you're using strong colors. Which purple is a very strong color. The purples I use are very strong colors. So yeah, so this guy. A lot of times I use Zapagap because it's at Custom Comics when I go there and I buy it, But this bottle of Zapagap's $8.49, and that's 1 ounce. I guess that's not a bad deal. But this bad boy right here, this is 0.7 ounces of Loctite, and you can get this I get mine at Home Depot, and this costs like $3. So actually, you would get 1.7 ounces for about the same price as the Zapagap. Now the Zapagap may be better, but for putting together little things like this, I just go with this. Now, if this were a really expensive model, I would be going with the higher end stuff just to make sure I didn't wreck it. Like stuff I don't really care about, I'll primer with any old rattle can from Walmart or wherever. But stuff that I really care about and I want to be really good, I invest in the Army Painter stuff or the Citadel stuff. All right, now to line this bad boy up. If I line it up right, you won't even know it ever broke. And I think that's it right there. Nope, I knocked it off. going too far forward. That's what I'm doing wrong. I was too far forward. Right there. All right. So there he is. 75 tons of PPC goodness. This guy will just, it's a good option if you are the kind of person that really likes the Marauder. And again, I'm talking like, whoever's listening, I'm assuming you know a little bit about Battletech or MechWarrior, which, in my completely not humble opinion, is definitely one of the best war games going still to this day. Miniature game, board game, whatever. It is the second miniature game I ever played, and I still play it. I started collecting mechs back in the late 80s. Yeah, definitely late 80s. I joined the military in 89. So I was collecting mechs in 84, 85. They were all Parthomechs made out of, the original ones were made out of lead. And I still got some laying about the house. Some actual old lead miniatures. The new ones are made out of white metal or pewter. But the problem is, and you probably, or if you're a MechWarrior player, you will recognize this right away, is the sculpts I'm popping out right now. These are MechWarrior sculpts from the computer game. And not to be cruel to Ironwind Miniatures out of Cincinnati, Kentucky, who have the license to make new Battletech figures, but the sculpts for Battletech, the older sculpts at least, in my opinion, are just not as good as the MechWarrior sculpts. And that's why I am doing this right now. Now my understanding is this is I looked into this. It's 100% legal to print your own mechs for private use. Now the STL files, I'm not sure how that was, because basically someone, this is my understanding, a couple of people who are really good 3D modelers just went ahead and took the MechWarrior Online files and used those to 3D model the STLs that were then available to download from everywhere for a long time, Thingiverse and everywhere like that, and they just gave them away. So it's not like they profited off of this. So I don't know. Is this piracy? I'll load this on my YouTube page, and people will be able to comment in the comment section. I mean, am I breaking the law? I mean, I know I'm not because I made these for private use. But if I were to try to sell these, then apparently that would verge on, some illegal action. That would be a no-no. Oh, come on. Did I break your arm? I am just all freaking fat fingers today. Again, it's not a big deal. And that is, like I said, that's a side effect of this resin. When you cure it, it gets very hard. And a side effect of this resin getting very hard is it gets very brittle. So now let's look at this guy. That don't look too bad, knock down a couple of contact points that are standing out. otherwise, like I said, there you go. There's your Hunchback. I rarely use these guys, but on the occasion, some of the guys I play with do use Hunchbacks, and especially the AC-20 Hunchback. When that guy comes at you, now this guy is actually called a swayback, technically in game terms. But when that AC-20 gets at you, regardless of which mech you're piloting, it gets pretty tense every time they make that hit check. Because I think your stock Marauder has 24 armor points on the arms, and maybe about the same on the right and left torso. So that AC-20 in one hit can strip all the armor off of a heavy mech in a location. It is a threat, and the best thing to do, because that AC-20 has a very short range, is to run from it and hope you can melt its ass down before it can get up on you. But that doesn't always work. That doesn't always work. So let's see. Let's find our contact points where we actually broke and just lining back up. And there we go. That's going to be easy peasy. Come on now. This one broke in such a way that's really easy to see. And when I get it pressed in there, you can't even see that there was ever a break. Yeah, see? I know my camera sucks, but you can't even see there was ever a break there. So, and I have no idea what he'll be painted up. What I do know is I use, these aren't the hexes. The hexes I have in a drawer over there, but I buy these proxy metal bases. These are 15, and I'm not sure what I will ever use them for. Maybe if I play some kind of 15 millimeter skirmish game or something one day. But I ordered a bunch of them because they were like $3. I'll never use them. What I do use is, let's see. I also got a bunch of 25s and a bunch of 20s, as well as a bunch of 1-inch hexes, which is Battletech size hexes. I've got about 40 or 50 of those, so anytime I print up some mechs, I just throw them on those bases and give them a paint job. My brother plays House Curtis, so his mechs are generally red. I play a mercenary unit, but since I've decided to rep Merrick, I've started painting my mechs purple and white. And then, of course, I've painted up a lot of mercenary companies in my day. Various camouflage patterns and, desert camo or whatever. Now, that said, the reason I did order the different bases is because I actually base my small creatures on 20 millimeter bases, and I base my human or medium-sized creatures on 25. It just, in my opinion, the aesthetics are the thing. It looks a little bit better. So, let me see here. So we have this dwarf, which is a small creature, even though he's a chunky boy. He's on a smaller base. The goblin boss, where's my goblin boss? I was just looking at him. The goblin boss is a big boy. He's on a medium base, and in the game it even says the goblin boss is a medium creature with 1+1 hit die. But your typical goblin is a small boy with a 1-1 hit die. So, that's why I did that. There is a reason. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I might not do this on camera, I might just go ahead and upload this to my YouTube channel, is I'm probably going to start working on Gas Call. That's right. I've got the old resin model of Gascol, actually right here. Yeah, this is the old resin Gascol, right? But from what I understand, this guy right here is like 3 times bigger or twice as big or something. And so when I found out this, now what I did is I actually ordered this guy individual because apparently you can only get him in a box set for like 100 and something bucks. It comes with him and some orcs and then some space marines or something. Hey, what's up, hostile? But I ordered him individual. He was not cheap from Hong Kong. Cannot wait to put this bad boy together. So I was thinking I would just go ahead and do this and not worry about filming it because it would be boring as hell to watch me just sit here and build this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end the recording, which will be what I put up on my YouTube channel, and I'll just keep streaming if you want to just BS around, Haas.